Welcome to another episode of SAT Q&A. Today we're going to be going through a piece of a reading section. This is actually from the Blue Book. Normally I don't do or I don't post Blue Book stuff on the channel just because of copyright issues, but I figured I'd be able to get away with doing a couple paragraphs and a few questions. So today we're working through a piece of this reading passage. Again, if you have any more questions or if you want more help and advice on how to tackle the reading section, because this seems to be a common problem for a lot of students. It is a hard section. It's definitely the hardest section on the test. Go check out the members area of my website, specifically the Critical Reading Bootcamp. There I've got, I forget how many videos, 60-something videos. I basically run through 20 different passages from practice tests, question by question, line by line, working it through very carefully so you can see how we actually work through these questions. So go ahead and check out the members area. There's a link in the description to learn how to enroll. Okay, that said, let's do these questions. So first things first, let's read this little italicized portion. The passage below is adapted from a 1998 book on the history of black women in the United States, written by two scholars of African American culture. Okay, so this is about the history of black women in the U.S. The purpose of lines 4 to 10 is to. So notice this is a purpose question. So this is one of the things I call function questions. It's not only about what's being said, but what it means, what it's doing. So let's go ahead and read the first paragraph and try to figure out what's going on in lines 4 to 10. We both knew that the story of black women was a remarkable one. We also knew that a great many people over the centuries and even over the last few decades have not wanted it told. Some have dismissed it, saying it wasn't worth telling. Others have actively suppressed it, afraid of what it would reveal. Still others have tried to deny that there was any story particular to black women. They have insisted that after you've told the story of African Americans and the story of women, you're finished. Black women are included in those narratives. So what's going on here? Well, they're talking about telling the history of black women, and here are reasons people are giving why you wouldn't want to tell a story specifically about black women. So it's kind of going through the reasons why people have avoided this topic. So let's see. Defend diverse perspectives on race and gender. So certainly there are some diverse perspectives sort of kind of here, but is these things here defending them? No, in fact, in some sense, they're attacking this diverse perspective on gender, right? Saying, oh, well, if you're a black woman, if you've got the history of blacks and the history of women, you're done. It's kind of denying this idea that there could be a history that's specific to black women. So this is actually, the opposite is true in this. Discredit the views of a particular group. The question, well, you might say, well, yeah, you're in some sense attacking the people who think this, but number one, what particular group are you referring to? It's not clear. And number two, I don't think it's discrediting anything. It's just saying what they say, right? This is what these people believe, and this is what they've said. It's not discrediting them, not trying to, show why they're wrong, just kind of laying it out. So that's probably not a good choice. Introduce a topic of interest to most historians. Again, be careful. It sounds like it might work. Certainly, I think historians are interested in this. But does this part right here, what we read, is that about discussing or introducing this topic that's important to historians? No, it's showing why historians or other people didn't think it was an important topic. So, in fact, the opposite is true. Is it presenting a sample of views held by black women? No, it's a views about black women, perhaps, but not held by black women specifically. Note the different kinds of resistance to a historical topic. Yes. So notice they're pointing out, these are all the reasons, again, like we said before, people did not want to tell the story, right? The ways they were resisting to this historical topic of black women. So the answer here is E. The sentence in lines 11 to 12 is best described as, then we have these choices. So again, another kind of function question where we have to identify what kind of statement this is, or kind of sentence it is. Is it an assertion, an apology, a decision? So it's not just about what it says, it's about what it's doing. So let's go to 11 to 12. But no matter what anyone may say to the contrary, black women are different. So how would we describe the statement? We can read a little bit more. They're different from black men, and they're different from white women. It is true that much of what they have experienced derives from racism and much from sexism. Okay, we'll stop there. So what is the statement? Well, it's just like a statement of fact, and it's trying to show contrast, right? No matter what other people say, black women are different. So it's a very clear statement, I think. An assertion, yeah. They're asserting that black women are different. In spite of all the evidence to the or at least the statements to the contrary, black women are different. It's an assertion. It's a statement. An apology, no. Where is there any kind of apology here? A decision, what's being decided? What problem is being decided here? Again, not going on. A concession, well, no. In fact, it's an opposite of a concession. They're not saying, well, maybe these people have a point. They're saying, no, these people are completely wrong. That's the opposite of a concession. A criticism. Well, it's kind of somewhat critiquing what they're saying here, but the main part of the statement is this. Black women are different. So it's a statement of fact, an assertion. It's not in itself a criticism of anyone in particular. So we can get rid of E. Best choice here is A. Notice the question says, how is it best described? I mean, I think a few of these, so criticism, I think, kind of is folded in here. But when you're describing how you would best characterize this sentence, it's best characterized as an assertion because that's the point of it. You're asserting this fact. And then the paragraph goes on to emphasize that, right? They're different from black men and they're different from white women. So it kind of all falls into place. The chemistry metaphor in lines 15 to 21 is used too. Okay, so let's see. Pick up here. At the same time, however, much of what black women have experienced and still experience today, bad and good, involves the blending of their separate identities in a way that chemists would call a combination, not just a mixture. Both race and gender are transformed when they are present together, and class is often presented as a catalyst. So what's going on with this chemistry metaphor? Well, they're saying you take... for black women, it's the blending of their separate identities, in other words, being black and being a woman. And it's blended in a way that chemists would call a combination, not just a mixture, right? So it's not taking two separate things and stirring them together. It's taking two separate things, putting them together, and creating something new. All right, this is going back to the whole point earlier, which is that the story of black women is not just the story of being black, and it's the story of being a woman. There's something unique and interesting about the black woman story, period, right? So this is just emphasizing that point. Let's look at the choices. Characterize the challenges faced by some groups of people. Certainly there are challenges here, but the whole point is to show this aspect of a combination versus a mixture, that it creates something new. So we'll leave this. It's not a great choice, though it does characterize some aspects of it. Though the some groups of people doesn't make any sense because we're talking about a very specific group of people. So for that reason, we can probably get rid of A. Illustrate the connection between scientific and historical studies of race, class, and gender. Be careful. This is too literal. Just because we're using a chemistry metaphor does not mean we're saying that, chemistry can be used to discuss this topic. That's not what's going on. Identify the agents for change in a particular social transition. First, what is the social transition? Who are the agents for change? This is a kind of a classic word soup answer, which is what I call word soup. A lot of words put together that sound fancy and sound right, but really are meaningless in the context of the passage. Suggest the way certain influences interact to produce a unique perspective. Aha. Right? Certain influences, aka class, gender, and race, how they interact produce a unique perspective, right? It's a combination, not just a mixture. It's not just things put together. It's put together and unique and different. So that looks good. Show the similarities between racism and sexism. No, they're not talking about the similarities between the two. Sure, maybe talking about how they can both interact, but not primarily what's going on here. So the answer here is D, and that is it. Okay, so if you have any other questions, if you'd like to be featured in a Q&A series, please let me know. All these videos I make are inspired by questions I get from students. So leave a comment, send me a message, whatever you want to do. Again, check out the members area. Click the link in the description if you'd like to find out more info, if you'd like to see more of these reading videos. Again, I have over 20, or I think it's about 20, reading passage videos in the Critical Reading Bootcamp. So, all right, talk to you soon.